Last year we traveled to an island almost 2000 kilometers away from the nearest land in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. And what we found is an island with incredible landscapes, stunning and unique wildlife, great food, a small but amazingly cute capital, the oldest animal alive, and a very rich history. A big part of that history is this man, Napoleon. In this episode, we're going to focus more on Napoleon's last days, both on St Helena and in France. In October of the year 1815, Napoleon was banned to the island of St Helena for his second exile. Initially, he was staying at the Briars Pavilion, but later on he was moved to Longwood House, which is the location we are now. So this is the house where Napoleon passed away. He did not like his stay here, he actually hated the house. Even though it looks quite pretty these days and it has beautiful gardens, he did complain a lot about humidity issues in the house, as well it was not the most inviting place. He was free to move around the island as long as he took a British officer with him, which he did not like, and he ended up just locking himself inside the house or staying around the property. The gardens of the house are very beautiful, and you can visit the inside of the house as well. You're not allowed to film there, so we cannot show it to you. I can tell you, however, that it is definitely worth to visit the inside as well. It is a very historical building, and if you're interested in the history of Napoleon, this is absolutely a must-see for anyone. We did not visit St Helena specifically for this. We wanted to visit the island because we were very interested to see how it looks like to live on such a remote island. Walking inside the house, you can really feel the ghost of Napoleon. It is very interesting. There is a lot of stuff to see inside the house. So it's definitely worth visiting. If you're interested in anything of Napoleon, it's a must-visit location. As I told before, Napoleon did pass away on the island on the 5th of May 1821 in this house. And that brings us to the next location, which is Napoleon's tomb. So after he passed away, he was buried here on the island, and Napoleon had specific wishes where he wanted to be buried. He used to like this area, as this area is called Seine Valley. It's very green, it's very lush, there's also a spring nearby. He used to drink the spring water that was available in this valley, and therefore he wanted to be buried here. He was buried here till the year 1840. During that time, British soldiers were all the time looking after his grave. At the year 1840, his remains were moved from St Helena to France. They are now in a crypt in Paris at Les Invalides. So he has traveled over 7,000 kilometers back to France. We visited also this area, of course. And yeah, it is a very beautiful area also. It's very green, the landscape is beautiful, there are a lot of flowers around. It is amazing how quiet it was over here. We were here by ourselves. Extremely peaceful location. There is some more information next to the grave. I'm sure you can find a lot more on the internet. I, for example, never knew that his remains are still in Paris and you can still visit them. So that made me curious. So fast forward the year 2024 and we are in Paris. You can visit a lot of stuff in Paris, of course, the Eiffel Tower, Montmartre, but we are here for another reason. We are at the Army Museum of Hôtel des Invalides. This is the location where you can find the grave of Napoleon. Normal people would probably visit this first, and maybe a certain amount of people will still visit St Helena. We did it the other way around. To enter the museum, you need to pay 15 euros, that's for the whole museum. So we were also curious, what can we actually find from the island of St Helena here? This is the building where you can find this crypt. It is a very beautiful building from the outside. Inside the building you can also find some other graves. For example, this one, which is Joseph, and there's another one from Jerome. These are the brothers of Napoleon. But of course, the main grave here is the one from Napoleon. And yeah, it is quite spectacular. As far as tombs go, this one is quite impressive. It's very hard to miss it. When his remains were brought over from St Helena in 1840, this location did not exist yet. Instead, his remains were staying at a chapel nearby, which was called Saint Jérôme. After around 20 years, his remains were transferred to this crypt, and they have been here ever since. This location is very different from what you of course see in St Helena. It's a very spectacular, very expensive grave. And yeah, it's a completely different thing than what we saw in St Helena, of course. The sarcophagus has also been made out of a very expensive material. This is Shokska quartzite, and you have to go to Russia to find it. Basically, this is a very, very expensive tomb. It is made out of quartzite, there is granite involved, as well as marble, so this is not a cheap tomb. Connected, or actually in the same building, you can also find the cathedral. You can also visit the Cathedral of St. Louis des Invalides. Again, very beautiful to visit. Now, as we are more interested in the island of St. Helena, we were wondering what can we find in the museum still from the island of St. Helena. Strangely enough, you cannot find that much about the island of St. Helena. There are some descriptions on the wall and explaining some of the history, but in general there is not so much you can find inside the museum related to the island. You can see how the bed looks like where he passed away on. There is a similar one in Longwood House. Again, there are some descriptions about Napoleon's death, and there are some references, of course, to the island, but there are not that many as you would expect. While this episode focused on Napoleon, I would like to highlight again how beautiful the island of St. Helena is. We had a great time here and we would highly recommend anyone to visit. If you're interested in visiting the island, there are more videos on our channel. Thank you for watching this episode. Please subscribe if you liked it.